Chains snapped tight around her wrists as she lunged forward, nails clawing into the dirt. No! Please, please don't do this. Zarythra's voice tore through the night, raw and desperate, but the guards did not slow. One of them yanked the iron chain harder, dragging her across the cold stone as the village watched in silence. No one stepped forward. Not her mother. Not the elders. Not even the children she had once fed when they were hungry. Zarythra's breath hitched, her chest burning as she twisted, searching the crowd. You said you would protect me. She screamed, her voice cracking. You said I was one of you. A man spat at the ground near her. You were never one of us. The words struck harder than the chains. The torches flickered wildly as the wind howled through the clearing, carrying with it the scent of fear, and something darker. The elders stood in a circle, their faces painted with ash, their hollow eyes fixed on her as though she were already dead. You should be honored, the eldest intoned, his voice cold and distant. Your life will save us all. Zarythra's laugh came out broken. By giving me to him? No one answered. Because they all knew what waited beyond the northern ridge. The Alpha. The Monster King. Vaelkor. Her stomach twisted violently as they dragged her toward the waiting carriage, black, massive, and marked with silver runes that pulsed faintly in the darkness. The moment she saw it, something deep inside her stirred. Something unfamiliar, something alive. No, she whispered, shaking her head. No, I won't go. But the guards shoved her inside. The doors slammed shut. Darkness swallowed her whole. The journey felt endless. Every turn of the wheels echoed like a countdown to her death. Zarythra sat curled in the corner, her chains clinking softly as the carriage rocked. Her breathing was uneven, her thoughts racing. Why her? She wasn't the weakest. She wasn't the strongest. She was just there. Unwanted. Unseen. Her fingers trembled as she pressed them against her chest. Her wolf, silent as always. Empty. Broken. Of course they chose me, she muttered bitterly. Even my own wolf didn't fight for me. But then. A strange warmth flickered beneath her skin. She froze. Her breath caught as the feeling spread, slow and unfamiliar, like embers igniting in her veins. What is that? It vanished as quickly as it came, leaving her colder than before. The carriage stopped. Silence fell. Zarythra's heart slammed violently against her ribs as the doors creaked open. Cold air rushed in. And with it, power. It hit her like a storm. Heavy. Suffocating. Ancient. Her head snapped up. They had arrived. The Alpha's territory. A guard grabbed her arm, pulling her out of the carriage. Her bare feet touched the ground, and a shiver ran through her entire body. The earth itself felt different here, alive, watching. Waiting. Her gaze slowly lifted. And then she saw it. The fortress loomed ahead, carved from black stone, towering into the sky like something born from nightmares. Torches burned with unnatural flames along the walls, casting shadows that moved. Even when nothing else did. Her throat went dry. This is where I die, she whispered. Move, the guard snapped. They dragged her forward. Every step felt heavier than the last. And then the gates opened. A deafening silence fell over the courtyard. Dozens of warriors stood lined in rows, their eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Predators. Killers. Loyal only to one. At the far end. He stood. Vaelkor. Zarythra's breath stopped. He was taller than any man she had ever seen, his presence dominating the entire space. Dark armor clung to his body, etched with ancient markings, and his gaze. His gaze locked onto her. And everything inside her shattered. Fear. Raw, consuming fear. But beneath it, something else. Something dangerous. The guard forced her forward until she stumbled, falling to her knees before him. The impact sent pain shooting through her body, but she barely felt it. Because he was still staring at her. Silent. Unmoving. "Your offering, my alpha," one of the guards said, bowing deeply. "Given willingly by her pack." A pause. Long tense. Zarythra swallowed hard, her hands trembling against the ground. She didn't dare look up again. "Stand," his voice came. Low. Commanding. Unforgiving. Her body reacted before her mind could catch up. She rose slowly, her legs unsteady, her head still bowed. Footsteps echoed. Closer. Closer. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Look at me." She hesitated. Then slowly. She lifted her gaze. And everything changed. His eyes weren't just dark. They burned. Gold laced with something deeper, something ancient, and the moment their gazes locked, a violent force slammed into her chest. Zarythra gasped. Her body jerked. Pain exploded through her veins, sharp and consuming, like fire tearing through her very soul. What is happening?" She choked, clutching her chest. Vaelkor froze. For the first time. The alpha moved back. A flicker of shock crossed his face. "No," he murmured. The world tilted. Zarythra stumbled, her breath coming in ragged gasps as the strange heat returned, stronger this time, uncontrollable, burning through her like wildfire. Her vision blurred. Her heart pounded wildly. And then, a single word echoed in her mind. "Mate." Her eyes widened. "No," she whispered. But it was too late. Vaelkor's hand shot out, gripping her wrist. The moment their skin touched, everything exploded. A surge of power ripped through both of them, so intense it forced a cry from her lips. Her knees buckled, but he held her upright, his grip tightening as though he couldn't let go. Their eyes locked again. This time, there was no doubt. "Impossible," he said, his voice rough. Zarythra shook her head frantically, panic flooding her chest. "No, no, this is wrong. I can't be." "Silence," he snapped. But his voice. It wasn't steady. It trembled. The warriors around them shifted uneasily, whispers spreading like wildfire. "The alpha has found his mate." "No, it can't be her. She's just a sacrifice." Zarythra's chest tightened painfully as the words sank in. "Mate." The word echoed again, louder this time, undeniable. Tears burned her eyes. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't choose this." Vaelkor's grip tightened. "Neither did I." And for a moment, something dark flashed in his eyes. Something dangerous. Something that promised this was only the beginning. Vaelkor released her so suddenly that Zarythra staggered backward, her legs nearly giving out beneath her. The heat that had consumed her moments ago didn't fade, it lingered, coiling tightly around her ribs, pulling, aching, alive. "Take her," he said coldly. The word struck like a blade. Zarythra's head snapped up. "What?" His gaze hardened, any trace of that earlier shock buried beneath steel. "Did you not hear me?" His voice dropped lower, darker. "Remove her from my sight." 2. Warriors stepped forward immediately. Zarythra's chest tightened as they grabbed her arms, their grip firm, unyielding. "No, wait." She cried, twisting toward him. You said, you felt it too. That wasn't nothing. His expression didn't change. If you speak again, he said flatly, I will forget that you are connected to me. The word hung there, unfinished, as though he refused to give it life. Her throat closed. Connected. Not mate. Never mate. Pain sliced through her chest sharper than before. So that's it? She whispered, her voice trembling. You just pretend it didn't happen? Something flickered in his eyes. For a second. Then it vanished. You are not my mate, he said. The lie echoed between them. Zarythra felt it. In her bones. In the bond that pulsed violently in her chest, reacting, rejecting his denial. Then why does it hurt? She shot back, clutching her chest. Why does it feel like I can't breathe every time you? Enough. The word cracked like thunder across the courtyard. Silence fell instantly. Even the warriors stiffened. Vaelkor's jaw tightened, his entire body rigid as though he were holding something back. Take her to the lower quarters, he ordered, his voice quieter now, but far more dangerous. She will remain there until I decide what to do with her. Zarythra's stomach dropped. What to do with me? She repeated faintly. I'm not a thing you can just. The warriors pulled her away. This time, she didn't fight. Because she understood now. This wasn't safety. This wasn't fate. This was a prison. The room they threw her into was cold, dim, and unforgiving. Stone walls. No windows. A narrow bed that looked like it hadn't been used in years. The door slammed shut behind her with a heavy finality that echoed through the silence. Zarythra stood there for a long moment, unmoving. Then slowly, she sank to the floor. Her hands shook as she pressed them against her chest, trying to steady the violent rhythm of her heart. Mate, she whispered bitterly. What kind of cruel joke is this? The bond pulsed again in response. Stronger this time. As if it were alive. As if it were listening. Tears slipped down her cheeks before she could stop them. I don't want this, she said softly. I don't want him. But her body betrayed her. Because somewhere deep inside, something did. Days passed. Or maybe weeks. Zarythra wasn't sure anymore. Time blurred in the darkness of that room, marked only by the occasional tray of food pushed through the door and the distant echoes of life she wasn't part of. But the bond never left her. It grew. Every day. Every hour. She felt him. His presence. His emotions. Cold. Controlled. Distant. But sometimes, something else slipped through. Anger. Frustration. And once, pain. Zarythra sat upright suddenly, her breath catching as a sharp ache stabbed through her chest. What was that? She whispered. It wasn't her pain. It was his. Her fingers curled into the thin fabric of her dress. Why would he be in pain? The question lingered. Unanswered. Until the door opened. Zarythra froze. Light spilled into the room, blinding her for a moment. A figure stepped inside. Not Vaelkor. But someone else. Tall. Lean. His eyes sharp, calculating. Interesting, he said, his voice smooth. You're still alive. Zarythra narrowed her eyes. Should I not be? He smirked slightly. Most sacrifices don't last this long. Her jaw tightened. I'm not a sacrifice anymore. His gaze flickered. No, he murmured. You're something far more dangerous. A chill ran down her spine. Who are you? Irinder, he replied simply. The Alpha's Beta. Zarythra studied him carefully. There was something about him, something unsettling, like he knew more than he was saying. What do you want? She asked. Irinder stepped closer, his eyes scanning her as though she were some kind of puzzle. I want to understand, he said. Because what you are shouldn't exist. Her stomach twisted. Stop talking in riddles. His gaze sharpened. The bond between you and the Alpha, it's not normal. Zarythra's heart skipped. I already figured that much. No, he said quietly. You don't understand. He leaned closer. Lowered his voice. That bond. It's not just a mating bond. The air left her lungs. What? Irinder's lips curved faintly. It's older than that. Stronger. Rarer. Her pulse quickened. What are you saying? I'm saying, he whispered, you were not chosen randomly. The words hit like a blow. Zarythra shook her head slowly. No, they picked me because I was weak. Because no one would miss me. Irinder's expression darkened. That's what they wanted you to believe. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Then why me? Before he could answer, a scream echoed through the corridor. Zarythra flinched. Irinder straightened instantly, his expression sharpening. Stay here, he ordered. Wait. But he was already gone. The door slammed shut again. Zarythra's heart pounded as the silence returned, thicker than before. Something was wrong. She could feel it. The bond surged suddenly, violently, flooding her with a wave of raw emotion so intense it stole her breath. Rage. Pain. And something else. Fear. Her eyes widened. That's him. Vaelkor. Without thinking, she pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the weakness in her legs. What's happening? She whispered. Another wave hit her. Stronger. This time, it dropped her to her knees. Stop. She gasped, clutching her chest. Stop it. But it didn't stop. Because it wasn't hers to control. Tears blurred her vision as she struggled to breathe. Why can I feel this? She cried. Why is this happening to me? The bond pulsed in response. And then, something inside her snapped. A surge of energy burst through her veins, so sudden and powerful that it forced a scream from her lips. Light, faint but unmistakable, flickered beneath her skin, racing along her arms, her fingers. Zarythra stared at her hands in horror. What is this? The door burst open. Irinder rushed in, his eyes widening at the sight of her. So it's true, he breathed. She looked up at him, panic flooding her chest. Make it stop. She begged. I don't know what's happening. But Irinder didn't move. Didn't help. He just stared. Because now he knew. And so did she. This wasn't just a bond. This was something far more dangerous. The light didn't fade. It grew. Zarythra's entire body trembled as the strange energy pulsed beneath her skin, brighter now, stronger, as if something long buried had finally awakened. She gasped, her fingers clawing at the air as another wave surged through her. It hurts. She whispered, her voice breaking. Why does it hurt like this? Irinder didn't answer immediately. For the first time since she had met him, there was no calculation in his eyes, only something sharp and uneasy. Because, he said slowly, you're not meant to contain it. Her breath hitched. Contain what? But deep down, She already knew. The bond flared violently again, and this time it dragged something with it, an image. Vaelkor. Zarythra's vision blurred as his world crashed into hers. She saw him standing in the center of a shattered hall, his armor torn, blood streaking down his arm. Warriors lay scattered around him, unmoving. The air burned with the aftermath of power unleashed. And his eyes. They weren't gold anymore. They burned black. Feral. Uncontrolled. No. Zarythra whispered, her nails digging into the stone floor. What is he doing? Irinder's expression darkened. Losing control. Her head snapped toward him. Because of me? Because of the bond, he corrected sharply. A bond he is trying to deny. Another surge hit her. Stronger. This time, she felt his pain like it was her own, raw, tearing through her chest, suffocating. Stop it. She cried, shaking her head. Why can't he just accept it? Because accepting it, Irinder said quietly, will change everything. Zarythra froze. What do you mean? Irinder hesitated, then exhaled slowly. Vaelkor is not just an alpha, he said. He carries a bloodline that has ruled for centuries. A power tied to dominance, control, and absolute strength. Her heart pounded. And mates like you, he continued, his gaze locking onto hers, were never meant to exist for someone like him. A chill ran down her spine. What does that mean? It means, he said, his voice dropping, you are the one thing that can either stabilize his power or destroy it completely. The room fell silent. Zarythra stared at him, her mind reeling. That's not possible. It is, Irinder said flatly. And if the wrong people find out? He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Because she understood. She wasn't just unwanted. She was dangerous. A weapon. A weakness. A threat. Her stomach twisted violently. Then why didn't he just kill me? She demanded. If I'm such a risk, why am I still alive? Irinder's gaze flickered. Because, he said after a pause, he can't. The words settled heavily between them. Zarythra swallowed hard, her chest tightening. The bond. Yes, Irinder said. The deeper it grows, the more your lives become intertwined. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So if I die, he won't survive it. Her breath caught. Silence stretched. Then, another scream tore through the bond. Zarythra gasped, her body jerking as the force of it nearly knocked her back. He's going to destroy himself. She cried. You said he's losing control, then why are we just standing here? Irinder didn't move. Because if you go to him now, he said, his voice sharp, you will only make it worse. Her head snapped toward him. How? Because he doesn't want you. Irinder snapped. And the bond will force him to feel everything he's trying to bury. It will push him further, into rage, into madness. Zarythra flinched. The words hit harder than she expected. He doesn't want me. She repeated softly. The bond pulsed in protest. Liar. The word wasn't spoken aloud. But she felt it. Deep. Certain. Her hands curled into fists as something inside her shifted, something stronger than fear. No, she said suddenly, her voice trembling but firm. That's not true. Irinder frowned. You don't understand. I do, she cut in, rising to her feet despite the lingering weakness in her body. I feel him. I feel everything he's trying to hide. Her gaze hardened. He's not rejecting me because he doesn't want me, she said. He's rejecting me because he's afraid. Irinder went still. Zarythra took a step forward, her heart pounding. And if he's destroying himself because of this bond? She continued, her voice gaining strength, then I'm not going to sit here and let it happen. You don't have a choice, Irinder said sharply. You are not strong enough. The light flared again. Brighter. This time, it didn't hurt. It obeyed. Zarythra looked down at her hands as the glow wrapped around her fingers like something alive, something that answered to her will. Her breath steadied. Her fear faded. I think I am, she said quietly. Irinder stared at her, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. Then slowly, he stepped aside. Then go, he said. Zarythra didn't hesitate. She ran. The halls blurred around her as she followed the pull of the bond, her heart guiding her faster than her mind could keep up. The further she went, the stronger it became, wild, chaotic, pulling her toward something breaking. Guards shouted as she passed, but none of them stopped her. Maybe they saw it. The light. The power. Or maybe they felt it too. She reached the shattered hall in seconds. And then she stopped. Her breath caught. The destruction was worse than what she had seen through the bond. Walls cracked. Stone broken. The air thick with the scent of blood and power. And in the center, Vaelkor. He stood there, unmoving, his chest rising and falling heavily, his entire body radiating something dark and unstable. His eyes snapped to her the moment she stepped forward. Black. Completely black. Leave, he growled. The word vibrated through the room, laced with warning. Zarythra didn't move. I'm not leaving you. Go. He roared, his power slamming into the ground beneath him, cracking the stone further. Before I lose control completely. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to take another step. You already are, she said softly. His jaw clenched. Don't come any closer. Why? She challenged, her voice shaking but determined. Afraid you might actually feel something you can't ignore? A dangerous silence fell. His gaze darkened further. You don't know what you're talking about. I do, she said. I feel it every time you push me away. The bond flared. Violent. Unforgiving. Vaelkor staggered slightly, his breath catching. Stop. He muttered, his hand gripping his head. Just, stop talking. I can't, she said, her voice breaking now. Because you won't listen. Tears filled her eyes as she stepped closer, ignoring the way his power lashed out around him like a storm. I didn't ask for this. She cried. I didn't ask to be given to you like I meant nothing. I didn't ask for this bond. Her chest heaved. But it's there, she whispered. And it's real. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Vaelkor's hand dropped slowly as he stared at her, something shifting in his expression, something cracking beneath the surface. You think this is easy for me? He said, his voice low, strained. You think I wanted this? I don't care what you wanted. She shot back. Because it happened. The words echoed. And for a moment, everything stilled. Zarythra took one final step. Close enough to touch him. Look at me, she said softly. His gaze locked onto hers. Gold flickered beneath the black. Fighting. Breaking through. You're not losing control because of me, she said, her voice steady now. You're losing control because you keep fighting something that's meant to exist. His breath hitched. Stop denying it, she whispered. Stop denying me. The bond surged. Not painfully this time. But powerfully. Warm. Whole. Vaelkor's eyes widened slightly as the darkness receded, the gold returning slowly, like dawn breaking through night. His voice came out rough. If I accept this. Zarythra held his gaze. Then everything changes. Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then. His hand lifted. Slowly. As if he were afraid. But this time. He didn't pull away. His fingers brushed against hers. And the moment their skin touched, the bond exploded into something undeniable. Not pain. Not chaos. But connection. Real. Deep. Unbreakable. Zarythra gasped softly, her eyes fluttering as the warmth spread through her, steady and strong. Vaelkor exhaled sharply, his entire body going still as the last of the darkness faded from his gaze. Zarythra. He said, her name leaving his lips like something sacred. Her breath caught. You said my name. His eyes softened, just slightly. My mate, he said. The words settled into her soul. And for the first time. They didn't hurt. But far beyond the shattered hull. Something stirred. Watching. Waiting. Because the moment the bond was accepted, it awakened something far older. Far more dangerous. And this time, Zarythra was no longer the sacrifice. She was the beginning. If you want part 2 where Zarythra discovers her true power and enemies come for her, like this video and subscribe.